Yeah, you've got 19 commits. They're all pretty locked in. They've been on.
Hey everybody, welcome into TexAgs Rewind, presented by Specs here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. I am David Nuno, got Callie Gardner over there, and I've got JoJo Loop, the man who has put people in. When's the last time you put somebody in a submission? Because you're an MMA gangster.
Probably a week, or actually, no, yesterday.
Yesterday?
Yep.
Was it your little sister?
I wish.
No.
I wish.
What?
I wish.
JoJo, what belt are you, by the way?
I'm a gray black belt with 2 stripes.
Have you ever beat up an older man?
Yes.
Could you beat me up?
Yes, probably.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, so what's the game on the calendar that you're most excited about for A&M?
I'm most excited about the Notre Dame game on August 31st because I think we have some good players. It's going to be a good competition game. And
I know you love the quarterback, right?
Oh, yeah.
Connor Wigman, he's the truth, right?
Mm-hmm.
He sounds like a broadcaster. Like, he's too young to take my job. Callie, what was your favorite part of the show today?
Well, I was coming into this rewind thinking it was John Harris, but it might be JoJo.
JoJo, so he took over, yeah?
He's kind of a natural over
there.
there.
Yeah, he's pretty good. So we did have Johnny Harris on the show. We talked about the Texans. We talked about Notre Dame. He was great. We had Bobby Carpenter on the show. He broke down, not A&M's schedule, but he broke down A&M a little bit. And Jason Howell with Recruiting Country. And, of course, Olin Buchanan. What was your favorite part of the show?
Probably Bobby Carpenter.
Okay, good answer.
Yeah.
Probably Bobby Carpenter. I just learned English. It's the Rewind. Check it.
Yeah, I still go back to that LSU game from a couple of years ago when he's making the one-handed touchdown catches. And he makes a lot of one-handed catches, and he's an exciting player. Yeah, it was hard to get in front of to get on the field when you're behind Anaya Smith. I get that, but I still think he was underused for various reasons. But this is a year to prove that everybody who doubted him, including past coaches, were wrong. I mean, he has the ability to do great things. I always say, it should be going like going to the zoo. You see the moose and then you see the yak. He has a guy that can make yards after catch.
Yes,
he has that ability. Just got to
nice kid
give
too.
him a chance. I like him. I hope that he has that breakout year. Not, they should have already had. But I think he does have the ability to be a big-time player, a big play.
Follow me here on this, all right? Okay. And I'm drawing comparisons of a wish, okay? I wish for him to have a Manny Obaseki kind of run where, hey, we've been waiting. And here it is. Who's another one? Caden Kent gets the opportunity because of the injury to Bader Montgomery. He comes in and he shines, right? I am hoping that is the case for Moose, that we've seen this potential before, but on a consistent basis, he just takes off. It just got my mind thinking. We know that Notre Dame defense is obviously really good. But from your perspective, from a coach's eyes, how good is that defense that returns 10 starters and a team that does not take on the most high-powered offenses in college football? They did play Ohio State. They did lose to Clemson. But a lot of the teams they played aren't scoring a lot of points. So when you look at the talent, the schedule that they had, and what they're going to bring to College Station, what kind of defense does Notre Dame have?
Well, I think, David, it's going to end up being a solid defense, but they've taken on some losses. I feel like a linebacker, losing J.D. Bertrand and Maris Bufat, you lose both starting linebackers from last year. I mean, I just always fear when teams lose linebackers because those guys obviously are the leaders. And Bertrand's been around forever, but they're good up front. Riley Mills is an incredible athlete. Just made Bruce Feldman's freaks list for a second year. Howard Cross is very, very difficult to block. And that's the thing to me. A&M's got to be able to block those two guys. If they block those two guys, I think they got an opportunity to ruin the football. But the secondary is great. Davey Watts at safety was a Nagurski Award finalist. I want to say he won that award last year. And Benjamin Morrison is one hell of a corner, but he's coming off, I think he's rehabbing an injury. So he's coming off that. It sounds like he's going to be ready, but still, they've got some stars. But where I think the gap is at linebacker. So if you block the front and block it, you got some inexperience there. Linebacker, I think you could take advantage of, and I think that's what they're going to have to do. Now, they've also lost the corner, Cam Hart, opposite Benjamin Morrison. So they got to pick at a sore spot. That might be the one that they pick at and try and avoid number 20, who I think is one of the top. He's top 2 corner. I mean, it's Will Johnson Jr. from Michigan, and it's Benjamin Morrison from Notre Dame. Those are the top 2. So avoid Morrison. Don't even play with fire. go challenge the other side and see how good that other side is. But you got to block the front. You got to block 99. You got to block 56. And if you're able to block those guys effectively, and I think you're going to have to use two guys on cross, even though when you see him, you're like, wait, he's only like 6 foot, 280. Yeah, but you better block him with two guys or he can disrupt the whole game. So I think A&M can move the ball on them because they do have very distinct sore spots. That corner opposite Morrison, the linebackers. I think there's that opportunity to move the ball against them because of that. I think it's a solid defense, but I don't think it's one that A&M should fear, but it obviously should respect for sure.
Well, let's talk about Coach Elko, what he did at Duke and what he did at A&M, what he did at Notre Dame, and the fact that he's going to be leading this team that, let's face it, they've had a lot of talent throughout the years, haven't gotten it done to the level we expected. What do you think about Coach Elko?
From everything that I've seen of him and watching him at Duke, watching him obviously at Notre Dame, and he's been a heck of a coach. He's a very disciplined guy. And typically, when you get a former defensive coach, and they're all about discipline, they're all about toughness. And so there's not going to be certain rules or guys being undisciplined. If there's one thing they're going to do, they're going to win or lose on their terms. And their terms are always going to be discipline and tough football. And honestly, I don't think those have been the calling cards for the Aggies the last handful of years under Jimbo Fisher. So I think you're going to see a restoration of that. And then also the fact that it'll be interesting that it's a chess match between him and Riley Leonard. I mean, he coached Riley Leonard at Duke. Riley Leonard went against his defense on a regular basis during camp and spring ball. The knowledge of each party, I mean, which will be greater? I tend to think I always err with the coach in that situation. Riley Leonard's a playmaker. He's going to be a tough guy to stop, and he's a chain mover. He's someone that, when things break down, he is able to move the chains to keep that thing rolling. So there's a lot of positives there. Riley Leonard can get it done. But Mike Elko, obviously that defense is going to be much better, and I look for a much more disciplined offense as well.
Bobby, I want to ask you about, obviously being a Big Ten guy, do you think the gap has narrowed between the SEC and the Big Ten, considering the Big Ten just won the national championship, how good Ohio State's expected to be, the expansion of the conferences and whatnot? Do you feel like it's closer than what maybe many of us in the South think?
I think it is closed at the top. The one thing that's different in the SEC is the bottom teams there are much more competitive, and all their fan bases think they can win the SEC every year. You don't maybe necessarily have that with like the Indianas and the Purdues. Rutgers has gotten a lot better. They beat Miami last year in a bowl game. The addition of Oregon, who Dan Lanning has built them like an SEC team. If Lincoln Riley can get that defense going in USC, they're a national contender. We saw what Washington was able to do with Kalen DeBoer. They're going to have to rebuild a little bit with Jed Fish. Michigan won a national championship. It's the first team outside of Ohio State to truly contend. And now in a 12-team playoff, James Franklin and Penn State are going to be in the mix. And they've done a good job recruiting, and they recruited at a high level. So I do think it's close to the top 5 or 6 teams. I think you could put in a bucket and kind of swirl around for both conferences. But the back end is where the Big Ten still needs to make some strides.
19 commits trending in the best direction.
Yeah, you've got 19 commits. They're all pretty locked in. They've been on campus recently. They're all staying in close contact with the coaching staff. They're starting to form those relationships together. Even before the pool party, a lot of those guys had met in person at different times, and you'd even had some bigger gatherings at like the spring game and some of the spring, some of the official visits. But yeah, you've really got a core group that's locked in, and you have a lot of your needs satisfied as you look towards the start of the season. The big thing is there's some big battles, and A&M's got to win some of these to have that momentum continue moving forward, and we'll see how it all plays out.
Talking to Jason Howell here on TexAgs Radio. He is on the Boss Firearms Hotline. Jason, let's talk about some of the cornerstone pieces of this class, and obviously we start at quarterback because. Look, we feel really good about the quarterback room right now that's at A&M, but you need to have that kind of cornerstone piece for the future, and they feel like they've done that.
Yeah, Hassan Longstreet was a guy they locked in on very early in the process. He's, you had Coach Klein find him and really lock in on him in January, almost as soon as he got to A&M, and made him a priority, and you secured him in the spring, you're gonna have some teams, trying to pick at him here and there. But he's locked in and doing some heavy recruiting for A&M. Has done a great job helping pave the way in California with a lot of those guys, and he's one of the nation's best. So regardless of who you stack him up against, he's going to stack up really, really strong. One of the quickest releases you'll find. He really fits Klein's system, and he's got a big, bright future, no doubt about it.
JoJo, tell the people what to do.
You need to like and subscribe, and make sure you share this with all your friends.
All right, and I'm going to close it out with this. You could beat me in MMA and jiu-jitsu, but could you beat me in arm wrestling? Nah, bro, come on.
No, I bet I can get you.
What? We'll see you next time.